When someone finally sees you for who you truly are, raw, undeniable, unstoppable, it hits like a lightning bolt they can't outrun. Now you're all they can think about. Every move you make, every breath you take is living rent-free in their mind. It's not a crush, it's obsession. And now they're scrambling, plotting, burning to figure out one thing. How do I get closer? How do I reach that level? This isn't just attraction, it's awakening. You become the axis they never realized they were spinning toward, a force so undeniable it consumes every corner of their mind. They can't unfeel the gravity of you. It's not a moment of recognition. It's a collision. Their thoughts aren't gentle. They're a wildfire, igniting every inch of their soul with an obsession to reach you. Their questions grow louder. Why now? How do I close the distance? You didn't just catch their attention, you shattered their blinders and made them confront the raw brilliance of your existence. This isn't a casual encounter, it's a tectonic shift, a rupture in their reality that demands action. Every part of their being, body, mind, and spirit, is rewiring itself to align with what they've now uncovered. You've become the breaking point in the monotony of their internal cycles, the moment where everything they thought they knew collapses under the weight of undeniable truth. They're drawn to you like roots stretching toward water after a drought, compelled to grow through the cracks of their limitations. It's the kind of magnetism that makes moving away from the familiar not just a choice, but an instinctual demand. They're shedding, breaking, evolving in real time, desperate to meet the standard of the energy you exude. It's a call to action they can't ignore, a spiritual reckoning that burns the bridges behind them and leaves them no option but to rebuild. This is kintsugi in motion, the fractures of their old lives filled with the gold of your presence, stronger and more beautiful because of the break. You didn't just change their perception, you redefined their existence. The path forward is no longer theirs alone. It's forever tied to the spark you lit. The cracking of invisible barriers is not a thunderclap moment. It's a slow, deliberate shift that happens when you finally decide to trust what's been pulling at you all along. These barriers are built from fear, self-doubt, and the clinging grip of old cycles, but they don't shatter on their own. You have to choose to release, to surrender, to let the weight you've been carrying fall away. Trust doesn't come in grand gestures. It's built in the moments where you decide to stop resisting what you already know deep down. I've been there. I once clung to a friendship that drained the life out of me. I told myself I had to stay loyal, that I was being noble by holding on. But deep inside, I knew it was keeping me small, wrapped in an energy that no longer matched who I was becoming. One day I let go, not with bitterness but with trust. I surrendered to the idea that there was more waiting for me if I allowed space for it. And just like that, cracks began to form in the wall I didn't even realize I'd built. Within weeks, aligned connections started flowing into my life like they'd been waiting for me to make room. That's the power you hold. When you loosen your grip on what no longer serves you, those cracks start to widen. Through them come opportunities, strength, and clarity. You don't need to force anything, you just need to trust that what's meant for you will step through those cracks. And it will. Every time. Transformation doesn't whisper, it roars into your life. And you know it because the weight you've carried for so long suddenly feels lighter. That's your first sign, an undeniable sense of release, as if the burdens that once pinned you down have been burned away by something greater than your resistance. You start to feel the shift, not just in your mind, but in your very being. It's as if your spirit has dropped the anchor, and now you're moving with the current instead of against it. Then come the synchronicities, sharp and undeniable. Numbers flash across your path like cosmic breadcrumbs, 111444777, not as random patterns but as coded confirmations. Symbols appear in your day-to-day that feel charged, electric, carrying a resonance you can't ignore. These moments aren't coincidences, they're signposts from the unseen, guiding you to pay attention, to trust that you're not navigating this alone. And then clarity strikes. What once felt like an endless fog of indecision clears in an instant. Answers you've been wrestling with show themselves, not as guesses, but as truths you suddenly feel rooted in. You know the next step, not because someone handed it to you, but because you've aligned with it. There's no more second-guessing, no more spinning in circles. This is the unfolding of transformation, lighter, sharper, freer. It doesn't ask for permission, it demands your recognition. And when you see these signs, you'll know your alignment is here and there's no going back. Self-love is not a fleeting indulgence. It's the foundation for everything you're building. When you commit to loving yourself deeply, you begin to move differently. You set boundaries, not from guilt, but from clarity. You no longer contort yourself to fit someone else's mold or to earn their approval. Instead, you hold your space unapologetically, knowing that protecting your energy is not just a right, but a necessity. Self-love isn't selfish. It's survival in a world that thrives on tearing you apart for its gain. The shift starts when you stop chasing the fleeting high of external validation. You don't need someone's praise to feel worthy, and you certainly don't need their permission to shine. True fulfillment doesn't come from others. It comes from the steady, unshakable belief that who you are is enough, more than enough. When you turn your focus inward, you find a strength that cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken. This is the opposite of Narcissus, the Greek figure who wasted away staring at his reflection, trapped by shallow self-obsession. Self-love doesn't mean idolizing yourself or demanding the world bow at your feet. It means breaking free from that reflection entirely, no longer seeking to be admired, but to be whole. When you choose this path, you disrupt the cycles that keep you small. You create external harmony, not by bending to others' desires, but by radiating from within. Your love for yourself becomes a ripple effect, shifting how the world moves around you. You don't just live, you lead, unshaken, untouchable, unstoppable. They watch you not with envy, but with silent reverence, captivated by the energy you radiate. They sense it, not just your strength, but the sacred power you carry, the kind that doesn't demand attention, yet draws it effortlessly. These quiet admirers stand on the edges of your orbit, careful not to disturb what they see as something rare, untouchable. Their silence isn't indifference, it's awe. They are the ones who know that your path isn't like the rest, that your energy is a force too profound to be carelessly approached, but within their stillness lies a storm. Their hesitation is not weakness, it's respect. They battle internally, wondering if their presence would bring value or chaos. Fear grips them, not of rejection, but of disrupting the purity of your movement. They ask themselves over and over, how do I contribute to someone so untethered, so free? The weight of their uncertainty keeps them quiet, their admiration tucked safely within. And yet, their quiet presence is part of the energy surrounding you. They are the unseen mirrors, reflecting your strength back to you in ways they hope you feel, even if they never speak a word. Their fear of misstep is rooted in the knowledge that not every flame can be fanned without risk. They know you're not looking for followers or admirers. You're moving on a trajectory that demands purpose and precision. But still, they watch, silently rooting for you, hoping for a moment when they'll know how to meet you at your level. Love in its truest form isn't about forcing connections or chasing fleeting moments. The universe separates what's not ready, not as punishment but as preparation. Divine timing steps in like a master sculptor, chiseling away at egos, wounds, and unhealed parts. ensuring that when connections come together, they're built to endure. You may feel the ache of distance, but that space is not empty. It's full of growth, lessons, and the quiet refinement of alignment. When the time is right, what's meant for you won't just return, it will thrive. I've lived this truth. I once met a mentor who carried the wisdom I needed, but I wasn't ready to hear it. I was caught in my own noise, blind to the value they offered. Life, in its intricate choreography, pulled us apart. At the time, it felt like loss. But as I worked on my growth, silencing the noise, clearing the clutter, our paths crossed again. This time, I was prepared to receive their wisdom, and that connection became a foundation for everything I was building. It wasn't hurried, it wasn't forced, it was exactly when it needed to be. The same is true for you. Whether it's love, mentorship, or a soul-based connection, trust that timing will do the heavy lifting. Don't rush to hold what's not yet ready to bloom. Growth happens in the gaps, in the spaces where you're learning to hold yourself first. When alignment is reached, the connection will flow, not as a test, but as a gift. Wait for it. It's worth it. That's why we built the Obsidian Inner Order, a space for those who know they're aligned with God's frequency and are ready to manifest abundance on a level the world isn't ready for. This isn't just another group. This is where your alignment becomes action. Weekly power calls designed to unlock the doors that once seemed invisible. We have over 400 chosen ones hanging out in our private Discord community. No muggles allowed. And unapologetic content that shatters the illusions, keeping others stuck in scarcity. Let's be clear, this isn't for the hesitant or the unsure. This is for those who are done playing small and know they were born to align with divine truth. We created this for you, for the unstoppable force that creates opportunities out of thin air. Click the link and step into the Obsidian Inner Order. Love is not a singular force. It moves through layers, each with its own intensity and purpose. Self-love is the foundation, the core from which every connection draws strength. Without it, you build on shaky ground, constantly seeking what you cannot sustain. Self-love is fierce, unrelenting, and non-negotiable. It's the energy that says, I am whole, I am worthy, and I am enough. When you embody this, every other form of love is elevated. Gentle romantic love is not loud or dramatic. It arrives quietly, disarming you in ways you never expected. It doesn't demand, it grows. It challenges the parts of you that thought love had to be earned through chaos or struggle. This love holds a mirror to your soul, showing you that softness is strength, that vulnerability doesn't weaken you, it transforms you. When it touches you, it rewires your understanding of what it means to be seen. Then there is the energy of silent admiration, powerful, unspoken, and rooted in reverence. They don't approach loudly. They respect your boundaries and the sacredness of your path. This love is hesitant, not out of weakness, but out of a deep understanding that not every presence must intrude. It exists as a quiet force in the background, steady and unshakable, a testament to the purity of their regard for you. These energies intertwine, but remain distinct. Each one, when aligned with purpose, serves to lift you higher, to remind you that love is not just a gift you receive, it's a force you cultivate and radiate, unyielding and undeniable. Not everyone in your orbit is meant to move closer. Some are meant to linger in the periphery, drawn to your energy, yet hesitant to act. These bystanders are watchers, caught between fascination and fear. They feel the pull of your presence, but their steps falter, held back by their own doubts and insecurities. Their silence is not apathy, it's a reflection of the internal battle they fight. They see the magnitude of what you represent and question if they're equipped to meet you at your level. These observers often project their struggles outward. Some may dismiss your energy as unattainable to shield themselves from the discomfort of self-reflection. Others might silently cheer for you, their admiration restrained by the belief that they're unworthy to share in your space. This hesitation isn't a reflection of your value, but of their journey. They're grappling with their own barriers, their fears of stepping into a world that challenges the limits they've grown used to. You don't owe them answers or explanations. Your responsibility isn't to pull them closer, but to continue walking your path with purpose. They are not your burden to carry, nor are they obstacles to overcome. Their actions, or lack thereof, mirror the truths they haven't yet faced within themselves. Your energy will either ignite their transformation or highlight their stagnation. What they choose to do with it is not your concern. You are the fire, steady and unyielding. Whether they rise to meet it or remain in the shadows is theirs to decide. Rivals are not always enemies. They are often reflections of unresolved struggles within themselves. Their energy reveals their battle against envy, fear, or self-doubt. Like Sisyphus, endlessly rolling his boulder uphill, they are trapped in cycles they cannot escape, weighed down by burdens they refuse to release. These struggles are not about you. They're about their own unacknowledged shadows, but their reactions to your presence expose the roles they play in this dynamic. The envious burn in silence, their resentment fueled by the comparisons they create. They see your growth and mistake it for a spotlight on their stagnation. Instead of seeing inspiration, they cling to bitterness, caught in a loop of measuring their worth against yours. Their envy doesn't diminish you, it highlights the work they've avoided within themselves. The observers linger on the edges, passive and hesitant. They are not indifferent, they are unsure. Their hesitation reflects their struggle to define their role. They watch, half intrigued and half intimidated, wondering if they belong in the spaces you move through with such certainty. They are mirrors of unclaimed potential, standing at a crossroads they're afraid to cross. The admirers, though silent, carry a different energy. They are inspired but restrained, held back by fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. Their admiration is pure, but their inaction stems from a lack of belief in their ability to rise. You are not their boulder to carry. Their struggles belong to them, and their energy, whether envious, hesitant, or admiring, cannot derail you unless you let it. Keep moving. Let their cycles break themselves against your progress. Rivals are not roadblocks, they're revelations. They are the mirrors you didn't ask for but cannot ignore, reflecting exactly where your boundaries need fortification. Their energy presses against you, testing your resolve, exposing the cracks in your defenses. When they push, it's not to break you, it's to show you where you've been too lenient, too open to the wrong forces. You're not here to please them or prove yourself. You're here to draw the line so clearly that even their doubt cannot cross it. Their presence sharpens your discernment like a blade against stone. They force you to see beyond words and actions, to read between the lines of their intent. Not every rival is loud. Some are quiet manipulators, cloaking envy and false kindness. Others are more overt, their resistance a battering ram against your focus. But in every form they teach you the same lesson. Your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. This is where your emotional resilience is forged. You learn not to flinch under scrutiny, not to waver when their motives challenge your purpose. Their attempts to shake you become fuel, forcing you to grow roots so deep that no storm can uproot you. You don't just survive their tests, you rise above them, stronger, sharper, untouchable. Rivals don't define you, but they refine you. Their impact is a challenge disguised as a gift. Use it. Let their presence carve out your strength and reinforce the boundaries that protect your growth. Let them serve as a reminder. Nothing they do can stop the force of what you are becoming. Authenticity isn't born from comfort. It's forged in rebellion. You're not here to conform, to shrink yourself into the roles others have assigned. You're here to disrupt, to shatter the expectations pressed onto you by a society more interested in obedience than truth. The weight of these pressures, family, culture, fear, tries to crush your individuality, but chosen ones don't break. You rise, you navigate the crushing doubt and reclaim your truth piece by piece until your authenticity is undeniable. This rebellion is not loud for the sake of being seen, it's deliberate, purposeful and unapologetic. People are walking away from lives that don't serve them. They're leaving toxic workplaces to pursue passions that light their souls on fire. They're breaking free from suffocating relationships, choosing solitude over shallow connections. They're carving paths that don't fit the mold, rejecting the illusion that success must look the same for everyone. Every act of rebellion is a declaration, I choose myself. This isn't chaos, it's clarity. By rejecting what doesn't align, you open space for growth, healing, and spiritual realignment. It's not just about breaking free, it's about building something better. The collective is shifting, shedding the chains of convention, and stepping into a world where authenticity leads the way. You are part of this uprising, this unapologetic demand for a life rooted in truth. Your rebellion is sacred. Your choice is revolutionary, and as you rise, you inspire others to do the same. The weight of external pressures may be heavy, but it will never outweigh the force of your authenticity. Keep rising, keep rebelling. The world is better for it. Authenticity sharpens everything. When you embrace who you truly are, clarity cuts through the noise. The fog of external expectations, societal norms, and personal doubt evaporates, leaving you with a vision so precise it's undeniable. You see your values clearly, and you know exactly where you stand. This is the power of self-awareness. It's not passive, it's a weapon. You wield it to carve your space in a world desperate to blur your edges. Confidence becomes your default, not because you've mastered life, but because you've mastered yourself. Boundaries that once felt like walls become gates, protecting your energy from what doesn't align. You stop explaining, stop justifying, and start moving in ways that serve you without apology. Setting boundaries is no longer a struggle, it's second nature, a reflex born from the realization that your authenticity is non-negotiable. This shift mirrors the rebellion Holden Caulfield embodies in The Catcher in the Rye. He rejects the world's phoniness, unwilling to sacrifice his truth for superficial acceptance. Like Holden, you confront the hollowness of surface-level interactions and meaningless conformity. But instead of spiraling into despair, you rise. You don't just reject what's fake, you align fully with what's real. This is alignment in motion. Your actions sync with your values, your decisions reflect your truth, and your path unfolds with purpose. Authenticity isn't just a trait, it's a revolution within you. You're no longer bound by what others expect. You're free. And that freedom is the foundation for everything that comes next. Surrender is not weakness, it's power in its rawest form. When you release the need to control every outcome, you allow things to align in ways you couldn't have forced if you tried. Overthinking, gone. The exhausting game of trying to manipulate every detail, over. Surrender isn't about giving up. It's about stepping out of your own way so that what's meant for you can finally take its place. I learned this the hard way. I used to obsess over what wasn't working, relationships, projects, plans that seemed stuck no matter how much energy I poured into them. I thought I had to push harder, grip tighter, fight more. But nothing moved. One day, I let go, not out of defeat, but out of exhaustion. I stopped chasing, stopped forcing, stopped overthinking, and then everything began to shift. Slowly at first, then all at once. What I couldn't see while I was trying to control everything became clear. Life was aligning for me in the background the entire time. Letting go wasn't losing control, it was stepping into flow. And this is where you find your strength. Trusting the timing of your life isn't easy, but it's necessary. You stop gripping outcomes like lifelines and start allowing things to unfold. You learn to act, then let go, confident that what's meant for you is already moving toward you. This is the paradox of surrender. In letting go, you gain everything. Trust it, flow with it. It's the only way forward. Uncertainty isn't your enemy, it's your signal to grow. That feeling of being lost isn't a curse, it's an invitation. It's the push to dismantle the old, hollow structures that no longer serve you and question everything you thought you knew. When everything feels uncertain, it's not because you're failing, it's because you're evolving. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from the fire of uncharted territory. When you feel untethered, it's not a punishment, it's a blank slate. This is your chance to rebuild on stronger foundations, to strip away the noise and connect with your deeper truths. Start small, but start intentionally. Journaling becomes your anchor, a way to map out the shifts in your mind and soul. It's not about finding answers immediately. It's about capturing the process, seeing patterns emerge, and recognizing the growth you can't yet put into words. Daily affirmations ground you in the chaos, reminding you that uncertainty doesn't diminish your worth. Say it. I am capable. I am evolving. I trust the process. Repetition rewires your doubt into strength. Grounding practices, like walking in nature or meditating, pull you back to the present moment. The answers aren't found in overthinking, they're found in stillness, where clarity begins to rise. Uncertainty isn't a void, it's a bridge. And as you move through it, you're not breaking down, you're breaking through. Let the questions come, let the old fall away. In this space, you are becoming something unshakable. Trust the fire. It's refining you. You are the axis of your own transformation. Every shift you've felt, the cracks in old barriers, the rise of your authentic self, the magnetic pull of aligned love is not random. These changes are deliberate, divine, and necessary. They are not shaping a journey, they are shaping your journey. The moments that feel unclear, the times when you question everything, are not signs of failure. They are the proof that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust it. This is your time to rise. The love you cultivate within yourself, the boundaries you enforce, and the authenticity you embody are not just for you, they ripple out into the collective. You're not just growing for yourself, you're anchoring something bigger, something sacred. The fire you walk through now will light the way for others. Let it burn away the falsehoods and refine the truth of who you are. Take a moment. Reflect on how you've shifted, where you've grown, and the ways you've embraced your own evolution. Share your story. Speak your truth. Your voice is powerful, your experience is valid, and your growth inspires others to do the same. This is how the collective rises, one bold act of authenticity at a time. So step into it, share it, own it. The world is waiting to feel the force of who you truly are.